I was wondering if you could please state your name, the pilot school you represent, and the country you represent.
My name is Marcelino Plasencia Jr. I work here at Now Academy, and the country I represent is Mexico.
My name is Eftahia Danellis, principal of the School for the Visual Arts and Humanities.
Hi, my name is Esther Nam, and I'm from ASGL, and I'm Korean.
My name is Hannah Park. My school is New Open World Academy, and the country that I represent today is South Korea.
My name is Mr. O. I am a teacher at ASGL.
My name is Eric Garcia, and I consider myself a Filipino-American.
My name is Amber Landry, mixed, a lot of things. Basically, my basic background is French and Black.
My name is Christian Aguilar. I am the ASGL science teacher, and my country is El Salvador.
Hello, I'm Mr. Aquino. I'm the school counselor for the New Open World Academy.
Hi, Ms. Bagorio.
My name is Lee Huang. I'm at ASGL and I'm from Vietnam.
So my name is Erica Andrade, and I go to UCLA Community School. Salvador, Honduras.
Maria Nakis. I'm from the UCLA Community School, and my grandparents were all born in Greece.
My name is Miss Hardy. I am T9's grade lead teacher for SVAH. I teach English, and I am mixed with Black and white.
My name is Gregory David Jackson. I'm the principal of Ambassador School for Global Leadership. It is a 6 through 12 school, SPAN school. The country that I'm representing is the United States of America. I am an African American, as you can see, plainly see. But I feel that the United States of America is such a diverse place. It is a place of my birth. It's a place where I've lived in several states around this great country of ours. And I just want to say that I represent all that is America.
My name is Miss O'Connor. I work at New Open World Academy, and I'm representing America as well as Ireland.
And my name is Mr. Wade, also Now Academy, also U.S. Army.
I'm Link Mize. We're all born in America. My parents are Russian, German, and Franco-Welsh.
Wherever you're from, there's always going to be that negative stereotype that comes along with being from that, ethnicity. So I was wondering if you guys could please say some of the racial comments that people have said towards you, and if you could please explain how that made you feel.
I think some of the earliest stereotypes that I encountered was when I was in elementary school. I actually went to school close to here called Wilton and then Hobart Elementary. And I think Hobart is when I really started to figure out that I was different from some of my classmates. I remember a lot of times when, I was just either standing in line or going into certain classes where I would hear this word, China, 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 and I didn't know what that really meant. But I knew that when they said it, there was also giggling and laughter that kind of followed through. And so as somebody that is like in first or second grade, to hear something like that and then get that type of response, you automatically start feeling like I'm something different or I should be embarrassed by the situation. And so I think when that first happened to me, I knew that I was just really embarrassed of the differences that I had. And yeah, I think it continued when I was in high school and even to, I would say, college.
I do feel proud of my culture, but the pride came later because when I was growing up and in high school and all that, I was trying to assimilate, I think. I didn't want any attention to be brought to myself. I kind of wanted just to be like anyone else, so I didn't bring any attention to myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
One of the main ones I hear is that Asians specifically Koreans, are really smart, so they expect us to be able to do better than other ethnicity students, and they expect us to know everything, and they come to us for answers always.
Usually stereotypes for Black people, baby mama drama, drugs. We also listen to hip hop, or we're always loud or doing something wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
Another stereotype is having that like ghetto talk accent thing. So that's like one stereotype. So I'm known.
A lot of that has to do with where I grew up and the kind of the other culture groups that I went to school with. So I went to school with a lot of girls and boys who were more from either sort of American backgrounds. I mean, in other words, their families had been here for hundreds of years. A lot of them had ancestry that goes back to Scotland and England. And so even though being Greek wasn't a huge difference, I definitely stood out in terms of my skin color, in terms of my facial features. And so I definitely got treated differently because I looked like someone who was other than what they were.
One time, myself and a couple of my friends were at a really fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills, and the waiter would only speak to me. And it was very interesting. You know, if I asked for water, you know, he would come and fill my water cup. When I asked for more bread, he came and brought me more bread. But a friend of mine who was also male tried to get his attention a couple of times, and he was like blatantly ignored. Or if he was asked for extra sauce, like little things like that, which is more than stereotyping, it's more so discrimination. But you know, if anything, I've had positive stereotypes placed on me, like being really smart and, you know, being popular because I'm pretty and things like that. But stereotyping nonetheless.
I've never really been stereotyped. I've had the occasional racial epithet thrown at me, but I've never really experienced societal or institutionalized discrimination. I've had the fortunate luck of growing up in LA, and I've never really been discriminated against. I've had people that were insensitive say insensitive things to me, but you'll experience that anywhere, just going down the hallway of any normal high school, you know. But beyond that, I've never been discriminated against.
I think that Asian women in general are supposed to be bad drivers, or we don't know directions well, and we're supposed to be timid little girls, I guess, in a way, and good at math.
How does it feel being stereotyped upon?
I don't like it when someone talks to me directly about it, and then, you know, I tend to say, no, you're wrong, or at least that's not right about me.
I guess wetback when I was a kid. We called wetback, stereotypes of lazy when I was a kid. That would be it.
How does it feel being stereotyped upon?
Doesn't feel well. I mean, doesn't feel good.
The majority of the stereotypes happened actually when I was in college. People would think that I was not Mexican, according to them, because they had a very specific view of what Mexican was, or how they looked, right? Or how you have to look to be Mexican, determined to be Mexican. So for me, a lot of people that I met throughout my college undergraduate career, they were a little bit confused. I looked different to them, and I sounded different. But when I shared that I was Mexican, it was kind of hard to believe. So that was like the biggest one that I can remember, people saying, no, you're not from there, when I know that I am, and I'm proud of my roots.
As white people, especially a white male in America, I don't know that my oppression is specifically, but something about the country. I know my family name is Gniezkov, which is Russian, and when my family came here, it was during the Red Scare, and there was a lot of anti-communist feelings, and so we changed our name to Mize to make it more American, to avoid some of the comments that you'd be saying. That's about as close as I can get to any kind of discrimination. It's a reach, but
yeah.
I mean, I learned about it kind of after the fact.
Yeah.
It was more just seeing my parents, being Americanized and playing up that part. But again, I don't know that it's specifically terribly hard on that.
So I'm Filipino or Filipino American or Filipino American, but not to get it confused. My heritage is of the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines, the Ilocos region.
I feel like I fit in with the Filipinos that were born and grew up in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But then I don't feel like I fit in with the Filipinos that were born here and grew up here. And then even within the strand of like Filipinos born in the Philippines and then coming here, it also depends on the year, how old they were when they come, and it's difficult to find a connection.
So I'll actually go a little further back than that, and if you look at American history, at the turn of the century, that was like the hugest immigration to the U.S. that we ever had until the 60s. And at that time, many, many immigrants came from Southern and Eastern Europe. So Italians and Greeks and Slavs were really looked down upon because they weren't white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. So just like Italians were called names, Greeks were called dirty Greeks, mostly because they came from farming communities or they were seen to be uneducated or poor. My own personal experience, you know, I was raised in a nice suburban neighborhood, but I wasn't American enough. My name was strange. My family was foreign. They had accents. And especially with the students, sometimes I got made fun of for being too hairy, too Mediterranean. A lot of Mediterraneans have a lot of hair. And that was really embarrassing when I was a middle schooler, especially.
But I grew up in Virginia. And this was in the 60s. And during that time, we was just starting to integrate. I know that the laws had been passed before, but we still had the white school, we still had the black school. We still had the whites out of town, we still had the blacks out of town. And you could really see the difference in the school systems. For example, the black school was like a one hallway school. The books were not as high quality, where the white school was like 3 stories high and better supplies and better things. So the education that we've seen, of course things have changed now, but in those days you could really see the discrepancy in education as provided to the different ethnic groups.
Okay, so, you know, like you said, you are African American. So how being categorized in a group, how does that make you feel? How did it get you mad, angry, you know, if you...
Well, I think that there are times that even now where I'm walking down the street or I'm in a store and I'm aware of how people will watch me. I'm aware where people will call their children. And I have even said things, you know, that I'm not going to steal your children. Or you walk past a person, they would clutch their purse because there's this sense of fear, even based upon the way that I dress. If I wear a suit and a tie, then people will say, you're the principal. But if I come on campus and I have on a pair of jeans, they would assume that I'm the plant manager or the janitorial staff. So people will judge us based upon what we wear, and they will judge us based upon our skin color. It's a normal thing that, you know, we want to say it doesn't exist, but yes, it still does exist.
Well, again, as a white man in America, you know, I am steeped in privilege, and although growing up, it wasn't apparent to me, I think, because I was part of the dominant culture, and sort of enjoyed that privilege almost subconsciously. And since I have left that place and come to a much more diverse and much more, to me, interesting place to be, dynamic place, I have not lost sight of that privilege, my original privilege, and cannot, in good conscience, ever lose sight of that privilege. Although, and my family had been in the spot where I was born for 6 or 7 generations, hundreds of years. So the discrimination they may have experienced coming from Ireland is a distant experience and not really part of my own.
Very similarly to what's already been shared, I also have had a lot of privileges, and if anything, I think for me, something that's made me feel uncomfortable or wanted to hide who I am is that I know that other people who have enjoyed privileges like me maybe are not always as aware of that and accepting, and myself included in the past. I also didn't really realize how privileged I was. So if anything, I think now sometimes I don't want to identify in that way because I don't want others to perceive me as someone who is not aware of those privileges and who can be ignorant, as unfortunately some people today are.
You guys stated that you guys were born in the Philippines. And so how is the transition from coming from one country to the other?
Yeah, I was turning 11 and you were much younger.
I was 5. So even in the memory, like, I don't know, I think as a child it's much easier to adapt to the language and the surroundings around you as opposed to coming at a later age.
It was for me it was a hard transition because even though I had the English language skill, the cultural, like adapting to the culture was a little hard for me. I was really bullied a lot in elementary school and junior high. Oh, poor me. And of course there's also like between like Filipinos the idea of like fab versus fob, you know, whether you're a Philippine American born or you're fresh off the boat, as they say, or Filipino originally born.
But
yeah.
that shouldn't apply anymore because who comes on a boat?
I know, that's true. Yeah,
Fob.
Yeah, fob. Yeah, fresh off the plane.
Yeah.
So there are some stereotypes that come along with being, you know, from every country. There are always stereotypes. So I was wondering if you guys could address some that you guys have personally experienced with.
I try not to dwell on the negative stereotypes. If there are positive stereotypes of my ethnic group, I try to really live up to those stereotypes. But I can see like the whole like dog eater kind of stereotype. Like we eat weird food, which I'm like, well, some people eat cow and we eat beef, and in other countries that's like completely like not cool. But there are, like the stereotype that, Filipinos are talented. Like it is a stereotype, it's a positive stereotype, and I try to live up to it, but I can still, some people aren't, always talented.
I think for me it's like the whole idea of my parents are still very like Filipino cultural, where it's like very patriarchal, and it's like the woman submits to the man, or the father is right, or the mother is the supporting role. And so growing up, like being the only girl, it's like, no, you need to listen, sort of thing. And it took a while for me to kind of like break out of that and see assertiveness as a positive form of establishing yourself, as opposed to, being a pushover and not questioning things. And I think that's a lot of things that maybe Filipino women have to go through, not so much as Filipino men.
What are some of the ways that you guys have, what are some of the things that you guys have done to actually help people, like, people of color, I guess you would say, to feel less oppressed?
We work at this school. That is our contribution to trying to repair the damage of our people. No, as a history teacher, I know that's all we teach, and luckily we are at a social justice themed school, which gives us lots of opportunities. I mean, daily social justice is at the heart of everything I'm teaching. So I think as far as trying to contribute to that, to alleviating those problems, that's, at least why I became a teacher, was trying to solve those problems of the world, and seeing that, for me, what makes me feel like I'm making a difference is starting with people before they've gotten out there. I feel like I don't see the anti-racism happening maybe in my face, but I know that when my students are going out and becoming adults, that they're taking these lessons with them, and I'm hoping that's making them more aware than I was when I was their age of these issues.
Well, number one, I try to live a life that I can be proud of, and model that for both other people, other white Americans of privilege, and also to show that one can be aware of that and try to work against it, as I do in my classroom. We talk about, try to help students become aware of the power structures, and then try to give them tools to restructure, give them a hope that it can be done, and understand that they have power to make change.
Being from Vietnam, have you witnessed or experienced discrimination?
I would say that I have, but not a lot, just a couple of particular cases.
Experienced stereotypes?
Yes, but one of the funny stereotypes is that Asian people are good at math, and I'm a math teacher, so I fall into that stereotype.
How did you feel or react to that situation?
That's a positive one, so it's fine. Another not so positive one is like, I was at this gas station once, and I was about to get gas. I was with a boyfriend at the time, and this Caucasian man came up to me and was like, you know, you're just gonna sit there and make him pump gas, huh? Because that's how you Asian women are. And I'm like, what? It's his car, you know? So he should be the one to pump gas, and I should be on the passenger side just sitting there, right? That makes sense to me. But that particular situation, the man turned it into like something bad just because I was an Asian woman.
Have you ever felt ashamed of your ethnicity?
Actually, back to that same situation, I didn't know what to say. Like, he basically caught me off guard, so I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet because I didn't want to start a fight at a gas station. But I felt like I should have stood up for myself and said, you know, there's nothing for me to be ashamed of. I'm just here in this country, same as you.
How much do you know about your ethnic background on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say about 8 or 9. There's a lot to learn, so I wouldn't say I know everything, but I definitely know a lot about my culture.
Since you say you're an 8 or 9, what have you done to experience your culture?
I speak Vietnamese with my friends who are Vietnamese. I teach Saturday school at Vietnamese at church, and I'm involved in a lot of different activities. I'm in the Vietnamese wedding band, so I also MC for the band, so I'm constantly using my Vietnamese. I was also involved in a campaign to develop a dual language immersion program at elementary schools that teach Vietnamese and English in the mainstream. So for myself, I use my Vietnamese culture as much as I can, as much as I do with the English